Misseijer, how are you, my friend? Can I shake your hand?
Yes.
Come on, I'm so excited to see you today. Very excited. Thank you for driving down from Table Rock, South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it is?
About 2 hours away from here.
Yeah, from Buford, where we're at here. Yeah,
Scenic drive. We took the back roads.
I did from your house on the way back
Nice.
to like you had suggested, and it was beautiful.
Gorgeous. This is some of the prettiest part of the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you actually live in a rainforest, right?
Yeah, we're right on the edge of what's considered rainforest. So I think it rained almost every day this summer. And they say that particular area gets up to like 90 inches a year. So
wow. I would have never thought that in South Carolina there could be a rainforest.
Yeah.
It's
right on the border with North Carolina. So from Saluda down toward Clemson, it rains a lot.
Yeah. Dang.
But it's all good.
Yeah, drive was
keeps it green.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Scenic, like you're saying. Come on. That's awesome. Charlie, well, this is a podcast. This is your first one.
Yeah. Oh, I thought this was a dating show. It's
actually, I want to see if I can flip that into a good joke that I've been planning to say to your wife.
It was going to be awkward because as you say, I do have a wife, so I'm glad this is just a podcast.
Yes. Speaking of your wife, who's backstage here, Tammy, how are you, my friend? So good to see you too. So
she likes Tammy, by the way. That's her favorite. Favorite iteration of her name.
Her Tammy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tams. Sorry, Tams. Charlie, you and I met in Nashville, Tennessee.
We did, Music City.
Yes, on accident. We were seated at a table randomly.
Accident or Providence.
Oh,
right?
Providence. I like that word. That's more. That's more beautiful. That word, I think, for that.
Yeah.
But I remember we were seated together, and when we started chatting, because you're just sitting to the right, I'm sitting to your left, and I thought that you were one of the most well-spoken people I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
I really did think that. I did.
Well, maybe it was Providence for you, accident for me. But either way, it was good. It was meant to be.
Yeah. It was. And I knew that there was something really special about your character. I thought you were a father right away before I had even asked about your family, if you had fathered children, what you're doing there. We were at the event was called, do you remember what it was?
Well, it was Council on National Policy.
That's right.
Meeting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of conservative folks, a lot of great ones, and I really enjoyed the event. And I think that's saying a lot coming from I'm in show business sometimes, especially in the recent years with show business in, of all places, Ukraine.
I think the funniest thing you said to me at that dinner was in the Ukraine, I'm kind of like a B celebrity.
Oh yeah, B-list celebrity. I'm a B-list. I'm not like all the way at the top, but I'm like mid. I'm mid.
Yeah, mid. Yeah,
mid. That's a word we were talking over today.
That's a big word.
Your kids are teaching you that word, right?
Yeah,
mid.
Yeah, means average.
Average. Yeah, I'm like an average celebrity over there. I'm not like at the top list. I'm not a Kardashian.
Man.
But I'm in there. Somewhere.
I don't even think I'm in the alphabet, but I'm glad you are.
Well, actually, I think you kind of are, because literally a few days ago, you're shaking hands with Donald Trump.
That's right.
I think you're in the alphabet now.
Finally got to meet the president.
Yes.
And I still refer to him as the president,
Yeah.
But that was a nice little meet.
Yeah.
He's got soft hands, I'll tell you that.
Small or large?
Oh,
medium size.
They're mid. They're mid. They're average. But they're above average soft, I'll tell you that. Those are millionaire hands right there.
Donald Trump's hands are billionaire hands, really.
My bad. Billionaire hands.
Yeah. Nice and soft,
lotioned. Extra soft. Lotioned up. Yeah, they don't have the calluses I do, working on the property, but he's
pleasant handshake. You enjoyed the handshake?
Pleasant, yeah. I was told I was given the riot act. They said, look, you are not to touch the president. You're not to extend your hand and try to shake his hand and all that. He's got to prompt it. So
He's got a prompt. He prompted it
he
towards
prompted
you.
it.
Oh, I love that. And that's what I did with you when I met you.
That's
I'm
right.
like, this man, I need his handshake.
Extend the hand.
Yeah.
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 That's how friendships start, right?
Yeah. If Donald Trump is prompting a handshake with you,
Yeah.
he's not doing that with everybody. And I think that
I don't know about that, but yeah.
I don't just shake everybody's
shake,
hand,
though.
but I shook yours too.
We got the shake.
I mean, that's two people in the world that are thinking that there's something incredibly important about the way that you talk, the way you communicate with people, the way that you are a man in this great country in America. You know, I've had the privilege of coming out, going to church with you, spending some time at your property. Speaking of the farm that you just mentioned earlier, beautiful property. You live in nature with a river flowing through your backyard and animals and a beautiful family, an awesome wife, by the way, that is a little nervous about your career now.
Yes. It's, you know.
Tams.
I work with a lot of ladies.
Her head. What's that?
I work with a lot of ladies, and yeah, it's a new thing. And not really a new thing. I mean, I spent my years in education, so I mean, it's a lot of women in that career as well. But
Yeah. And the organization that you work with is called Moms for Liberty.
it is.
And a cool fact that I learned about you, another thing that I thought, man, this man Charlie is incredible. You were the first male hire out of over 500 resumes, first male hire in a organization with how many ladies in it?
I don't know how many, but there's a lot of ladies. Moms for Liberty.
Hundreds, right? Hundreds of women?
Well, Moms for Liberty has over 130,000 members now, over 330 chapters throughout the United States.
Yeah.
Our national office is much more condensed than what, you would think is representative of those numbers. But I mean, there's not a lot of guys around.
You were the first one. So I
and
feel
we've
for your
hired
wife.
some
She's like,
since,
there's all these ladies around. This handsome husband of mine is working with all these ladies. But I feel for her, and I respect you out of the fact of how you, in a time of, modern times, modern technology, modern emotions, lots of things going around, you're, to me, one of the most loyal feeling people that I've ever met in my life. And I'm sure that at the end of the day, even though you're having to work with thousands of ladies, sometimes your wife is nervous about that. But Tams, trust me, you got a good one in your hands. You chose a good one. Don't worry. Just like trying to ignore the whole podcast. I love that. But you are, I think, in character, one of the most important characters that are in modern times today, guys that I would look up to as a younger man, as a younger male, and I really appreciate you for that. That's why I wanted to do this today.
Well, I appreciate you having me and Tamara in the house here.
Yeah,
she's definitely number one mom, number one wife. Number one, everything in my life. And so I appreciate everything she's been to me. We've been married 25 years.
Wow.
We have the 8 kids to show for it. And we just had our first grandchild.
Oh, wow. So, congrats.
So, next generation has come along and that's what it's all about. And that's why I took the job at Moms for Liberty. I mean, we're all about parental rights and education. That's really our focus.
Parental rights. That's what I wanted to get into next. Yeah.
Parental rights and education. And so, our focus is to protect our kids. Moms for Liberty has only existed about 3.5 years, and they've seen a meteoric rise because, once you start messing with the kids, mama bear ain't going to have any of that. Right. So try to wedge something, an issue, between mom and child. Mom's going to come out swinging, right?
Yep.
And dads and grandparents. We're all interested in how our kids grow up. We want them to grow up in an America that resembles the America that we were able to grow up in, right? and that America has changed significantly in recent times. So,
yeah. And that's where I think that people like yourself, your wife, Tam, your family, I think is the future for this country to look at least in some ways, and look at the attitude of the family. You know, I grew up with a community with almost no divorces. These Slavic refugee families in the 90s, almost no divorces. Fairly strong families. A lot of these families, parents that were first on food stamps and welfare, then get off quite quickly, become millionaires, construction developers, business developers, whatever else, and try to live a life that is meaningful to what we say the American dream is. And an hour from here, a few days ago, 4 kids got killed in a school. Not good. I wanted to maybe pick your brain on your emotions on that. Would you mind elaborating? I know I didn't prep you with that question earlier. That's kind of just something I'm creating right now, but what do you think?
No, it's all right. I mean, you know, we have to ask ourselves what has brought our kids to this point, right? Mm-hmm. There's so many that are crying out for help, and you know, kids are always going to be kids. The issues that they face today aren't necessarily new, but it seems like they frequent more within a person's life, right? Social media, Pew Research just did a study, and social media is such a huge deal with kids. I mean, it's making them see and feel and experience all the time, right? Like at all times, they're just uber in touch with their feelings, and it's making them dwell upon it, right? And we also have to ask ourselves, like how did this kid, this shooter, which was captured, you know, how did he get to this point where he would actually, you know, load a gun and take it to school and make that decision to start shooting it up?
Wow.
You know, what brought him to that point, and what has brought, you know, a lot of these kids to where they think in these measures. And so we have to ask ourselves, like, what really broke down the family to this point? And it didn't start yesterday. You know, you mentioned the D word, right? Divorce.
Ooh.
And, that wasn't an option growing up in my household.
Yeah.
I mean, there may have been some knockdown, drag out type of, you know, arguments, but the D word, it just didn't enter the lexicon. And, you know, that's something that Tamara and I decided also early on that we wouldn't go there. But yet, whether it's the Christian realm or the secular realm, marriages are divorcing at the same rate. You know, let's round it at a 50% clip. It's been a little higher, a little lower, depending on what year, but about half of marriages end in divorce. And that's discouraging to the kids, because they're like, what do I have to look forward to? But what broke down the home? You know, what caused, you know, these parents to not be present? And at some point, and something even within Moms for Liberty that we ask, an internal question is, you know, at what point do we ask parents or tell parents, remind them they got a parent?
Yeah.
You know, it's an active thing.
Yeah.
It's hard work, just like in any relationship.
Yeah.
That work to maintain a marriage or to maintain parent-child. I mean, that's not easy.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the idea of what is our relationship with the Lord, right?
Oh.
Because if our relationship vertically is not solid, is not right, then, and I often say this, then horizontally, our relationships aren't going to be right.
Okay.
right? Like
Yeah.
my relationship, even with like you, my relationship with my children, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with coworkers.
Yeah.
None of that's going to be right if my relationship with my Lord
Yeah.
isn't right.
Yeah.
And so there's been a breakdown in that relationship with God.
Yeah.
We know that. There's been a breakdown in communication in the home.
Yeah.
You know, when people are spending time, you know, like this instead of like this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Tamara could elaborate probably even more, but like she's done little polls in her class, like how many of you eat dinner with your family still? And that's something that we really still seek to do as a family is eat dinner together. If we do one thing during the day together, we may be rushing out in the morning for school, but you know, let's get home and sit at the table and ask about each other's day, and you know, pray together and eat food together. I mean, that's important, you know, and all that's broken down. So, yeah, we have to ask ourselves why. You know, why do we, you know, send two parents out of the household every day to go work crazy hours, right? And then just hand their kids off to somebody else for those same hours, which for most is the public school, right?
Yeah.
Where it's become an indoctrination center, rather than an education center, right? And so there's a lot of things that have really worked to destroy the family over the last century, and we're reaping the repercussions now. So,
wow, is marriage something that's brought up at Moms for Liberty on a sometimes maybe even day-to-day basis with you guys, with how you're leading your think tanks and just your work and careers? Is that something that you guys talk about over there?
Yeah, not so much marriage. We really focus on the parent-child relationship.
Okay.
And you know what we can salvage there, especially when it comes to the children's education, educational choice, school choice.
Okay.
Right. And from state to state, that looks different. So as we grow as an organization, we're also growing in these states, and our policy imprint is also growing. One of the issues that we really focus on is school choice, and you know that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. So there's not like one model policy that we follow for school choice, but we do want our parents to have that freedom to choose how they're going to educate their child, whether that's if that's a public school, protecting them in that environment, if that's homeschool, if that's a public charter or a private school, parochial or secular charter or secular private school, you know, but they need to have that choice. And so out of our membership, everybody, you know, has different ways in which they've chosen to educate their children. I mean, even in our family, we've done Christian school for the bulk of our private Christian school for the bulk of our children's school career, but we've also homeschooled for about 7-8 years. And again, with 8 kids, that's spread out over many years and many kids. And then we've even done like a public charter online. Right now, the 4 kids that are still in school, they're at a public school. And that's kind of a newer experience for us. But they're in a very conservative school district in Pickens, South Carolina, along with my wife who teaches in that district. So parents they need that freedom of choice, but they also have to be vigilant, right? I like to say that parents, they get one shot at this.
Okay.
We get one shot at this as parents.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And so
I like that you said that.
Yeah, it's incumbent upon us to do whatever we need to do. And hopefully, you know, as a Christian father and husband, you know, viewing through that lens of a Christian worldview, you know, and I might get criticism right now for my kids being in a public school, but in that public school district, there's a lot of Christian teachers, Christian administrators. There's a lot of Christian programs for them to take part in.
Yeah.
And if there's any yucky stuff that sneaks in, that's up to us as parents to really be vigilant in opposing those policies and programs that may be antithetical to our Christian worldview.
Yeah.
Right?
You're reminding me of my childhood. I was both public schooled and private schooled. And homeschooled. I liked the variety. My parents tried to steer my energy as a fairly hyperactive child, to, like taste what I wanted to see, And speaking of public schools, Charlie, I do remember that my parents had control. My teachers respected my parents' choice. That's obviously not so much the climate right now in America, right?
Right.
And that's what you're working on, to try to implement a way of thought and communication between teachers and parents. And I think people like you, specifically you, are perfect for that role in shaping the future of our country for the decades to come while we're alive at least.
Yeah, and we have to remember parents do this better when there's an open line of communication. One of the things that we do find at Moms for Liberty is the fact that in a lot of these public school districts and even some of these private schools, there's not this open line of communication. There's not informed information there for parents. They're not informing parents, and thus, if they're not informing parents, then parents aren't able to consent on behalf of their child whether something is done for their child or not. And this gets real, right? In our society today, there's a lot of yucky yuck, I like to call it.
Ooh,
right?
Yucky yuck.
Yucky yuck. That can include a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it can also include today, little Bobby going to school.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, to the school counselor, administrator, or coach, I want to be little Susie. And
here we go.
And little Susie, as little Susie, I want to use the girls' bathroom and locker room and play on the girls' soccer team and be referred to the pronouns of he, her, and go by my new name. And the school often, depending on their policy, and a lot of policies support this, and school board policies around America today, but they support that transition, as it's popularly called, of that child, and they don't give informed consent to the parent. They don't inform the parent, and so that's a problem. That's a problem. That puts a massive wedge between the child and parent.
Yeah.
And trust between the school and the parent.
Yeah.
And some have even pursued emancipation from their parents because of the fear of whatever repercussions they may anticipate at home or think that they'll get at home.
Yeah.
And so this has gotten very real throughout America, and I say throughout America because it's happening in every state. I don't care what state you're in, this stuff is happening. A lot of it's under the radar, but some cases have made it into the public eye. If your child then also wants puberty blockers to transition to the other sex, they can start prescribing that, or start prescribing a plan, a medical plan that could even lead to incredibly dangerous procedures that transition these children, like let's say the 12-year-old getting the double mastectomy, or I could go on, but this stuff is happening. right?
Mm-hmm. You gotta. I mean, facts are facts. You gotta keep saying this stuff.
Yeah. So, and it is, no matter what they say, it is actually happened and happening, and it's child abuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't stand for that.
Well said. Well said.
We don't stand for that. So,
wow, child abuse. That's a big term, and it's a big fact.
Yeah.
This is a child changing their biological structure that their DNA chose.
Well, and let's.
But without
this is
parental
fantasy
consent.
land, right? Well,
without parental consent.
And let's get this straight. I mean, they are trying to do this on the outside, but at the end of the day, they can't change their sex. They can't change it. That's impossible. All right. So when we talk about facts, we have to
come on, lay it on me.
Talk about facts,
Charlie. Lay it on me,
right?
Charlie.
I mean,
lay it on me.
God created us male and female.
That's right.
Right? Male and female created he them, it says.
Come on.
In the good book. And so that we can't change that.
Mm-hmm.
We can maybe change a look, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could give me a facelift. I might need one. But
I don't think you do. I don't think you do. I think you're looking good.
That's not
no homo.
That's not gonna change the inherent DNA structure. I think of, there's some celebrities out there who don't look like they used to look like, right? We used to live in Southern California and go, like the grocery store I go to, there's a lot of celebrities in our neighborhood, our area in Calabasas there. And you'd go and like half the people in the grocery store definitely had a facelift, they don't look like they used to look like, but when their babies come out, their baby's going to look like they did, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to change us inherently. We can't change the inherent structure of what God created us to be. So.
Great point, Charlie. And speaking of Southern California, I've lived there as well. Lived in Beverly Hills, different areas, Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, before I moved here to Atlanta to take advantage of these 30% tax credits on filmmaking. No, I'm just kidding. I knew about that. But no, there was a great community that I knew here. I mean, Pastor Emmanuel Rusu and Elisha, who's working the cameras right now. Thank you, Elisha. Which you got to get going to the church too. You got a cafe to run here for the event tonight, huh, Elisha? But, living in Southern California, keeping a finger on the pulse there, Charlie, looking at the excitement of, let me say it, Bruce Jenner, I think, with the name of the guy, right? That switched over to a
I was a
Jenner
fan of Bruce Jenner. He was a super athlete. An Olympic, champion. I mean, that guy was a stud. And and then today
there was and let me voice a comparison that I'm seeing, and I'm sure other people are seeing it too, but there was this excitement for him and his biological changes, the hormones that he's changing in himself and things like that. There's excitement for like a period of time, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it was, Charlie. Now I see Bruce Jenner as one of the most depressed people I've ever seen in my life in his face, which reminds me of the statistic of how many suicide attempts there are in the transgender community.
Right.
A lot. There's a lot. We're talking about
lot.
over like 70% on some charts that I read, But it does not look like it is a good solution. And I think that's what people should talk about. We deal with problems. I'm, looking at Bruce's life, whatever it was personally, and without having to get into it too deep, I'm thinking he had a problem he was trying to solve. That was his solution. Yeah. But now where is this at 10 years later?
Let's be fair. Bruce did that as an adult, right? Like he chose to play dress up and play princess as an adult. But when we're pushing this on our kids, that's something else. There's there's a reason why, there's laws that prohibit kids from doing certain things, right? You can't drive until a certain age. You can't drink until a certain age. You can't smoke until a certain age, at least legally, right?
Yeah.
Can't run a car till you're 25.
Yeah.
I mean, like, why are these ages out there?
Yeah.
And, scientifically, our brains aren't even fully connected. I think it takes guys a little longer than the gals, right?
It does. Our prefrontal cortex development. Right?
Yeah. And so, you have science, actual science and facts to contend with here. And we're pushing this on our kids at a younger and younger age that, choose your pronouns.
Yeah.
Who do you want to be today?
Yeah.
And putting that little seed in there that you could be something that you're not.
Yeah.
And look, statistics tell us clearly now that kids that transition when they're in their preteens and teens, by the time they're, 20, 21, at a 70% clip, they want to go back to what God created them to be, right? Yeah. So, I knew plenty of my sister was kind of a tomboy, when I was growing up. And my wife probably would describe herself as sort of a tomboy growing up. It doesn't mean that they wanted to be a boy.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they wanted to totally break this mold that God had made them in.
Yeah.
God makes no mistakes. So you're going to tell me that, and of course, the secular humanist, the type of person that wants to push this narrative, the secular humanist would say there's no God, right?
Yeah.
There is no God.
Yeah.
And so they've really worked to get God out of the school system for, a good 60 years. And they've done a good job at that, right? Extracting God out of the process and putting a whole new philosophy in, right? Their secular humanist philosophy that there is no God, and that truth is relative, right? Your truth, Mike, is your truth. My truth is my truth, and we all got our version of the truth. That's just not the Christian worldview.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In a Christian worldview, there is a God, and there is right and wrong, and there is no gray area.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have to remember that, and that's why there's other issues that, like, Moms for Liberty doesn't really touch that are still important to me. Like the sanctity of life issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always described myself as that one issue voter on the sanctity of life, because my Christian worldview informs everything else that I believe in life, right?
Yeah.
That there is a God, that truth is not relative, that there is right and wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, that basis are those are the presuppositions that inform my Christian worldview, that my Christian worldview informs everything else in my life, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't have a problem really seeing, deciding, oh, is that right? Is that wrong? I mean, like that, my Christian worldview informs, again, everything that I see, whether it's within our family structure, social structure, political structure, right? The policies that I pursue at my job, as well as support in my personal life, all those things.
Elisha, how you doing on your time, brother? 5 minutes? Okay, thank you, Elisha. Charlie, man, I'm so grateful for you, for your tone, for your character. I love it when I get to meet a person like yourself. It's very rare to have admiration and respect at the level that I do for you. In a short amount of time, we met like 2 months ago or something like that,
right.
But there's a lot of predicting factors to where I'm going to know that, I want to pursue this friendship. I want to pursue media creation as we're doing now. I want to pursue, policy reformation, which your position is the director of policy and legislative affairs
That's
at Moms
correct. Yeah.
for Liberty.
Yeah. So I serve at Moms for Liberty. I serve as the director of policy and legislative affairs. I'm the guy for the nation, but my focus is on state, really our state legislative committees. Essentially, they are committees that work at the state legislative level. They go in and really try to have relationships with the legislators that will craft and support and push policy through that is within our mission. And we are here to really empower and educate and unify, parents across all levels of government to we like to say we don't co-parent with the government. We are first and foremost the parent of our children. Government or schools, they can partner, but they need to do it on our terms as the parents, right?
Yeah.
And so we need to make those terms very clear. And I think we've done a good job of that over, the past 3+ years.
Yeah. Teachers, the government, public organizations controlled by government, these are our public servants, correct? That we pay taxes into, right? Yeah. Not supposed to be our public serpents, right?
Right.
They're not.
Right.
And I know that we have a lot of work cut out for us in the decades ahead. I'm a person. Justin Bieber's vocal coach is calling. Isn't that great? That's an event that we're about to head to with Elisha, with all these people. Mama Jan, I'm in a podcast with a great person, Charlie Misseijer. You're live right now. How we doing? We were just talking about you and your beautiful presence that you are about to gift us.
I am good, and I am here. I'm sitting in the parking lot.
Oh, yes, ma'am. We'll be there in a few minutes. We're wrapping this podcast up with Charlie, and then I'll be there to greet you. If you do want to come inside, please let me know. But I think I might send somebody out there your way to greet you in a second, okay?
I'm hanging in my car till I see you.
All right. Love you. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and head to that event here in a second. Yeah. But Charlie, I know we've got our work cut out for us. It's beautiful. And I think people that deliver information that's uncomfortable to someone who does want to change their biology, or to parents that might not agree with what you're saying, I think the way that you speak it is what's important. Why I am so interested in what your career is going to unfold into. You've done so many legendary things already. You've opened an entire school, a private school. You've found investors for it. You've marketed, and it's been, whatever experience that has been for you, pleasant, unpleasant, whatever it is. I know that this country is built on solid foundations of character like you possess, that you have created with the Lord's help in yourself to lead your family, to lead yourself, to lead your community, to lead at what you do in your organization. Is it at Moms for Liberty on Instagram?
I believe it is.
I think it is. Either way, if they just type in Moms for Liberty anywhere, they'll find it on Google, anywhere. But thank you. Thank you for what you do.
No, I appreciate that, Mike. And I'll close my thoughts just with, we always have to remember the first and second great commandment, right?
Yes.
To love God with our whole heart and soul and mind. But that second one, to love others, right? As ourselves.
Yeah.
And we don't have to, on these issues, get up in each other's face and scream.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't have to do that, especially when considering that command to love others. But we do need to speak to each other.
Yeah.
That shouldn't cause us to, the issue shouldn't cause us to either shirk away or scream in each other's face, but to have conversations that ultimately lead to truth. And people have to be open on both sides of that conversation. And so I'm always willing to have the conversation, but know this, that I'm entrenched in my position, because I think one that is entrenched, in God's word is not going to waver from that. Yeah. And maybe next time we get together, we can talk about how there's a mushy middle in Christianity, especially when it comes to voting and elections. But
the last 60 seconds, wrap that up.
Well,
do it in 60.
It's tough to do it in 60 because I really want to spend.
Christians go and vote. Because you don't like somebody, a candidate. Don't sit at home on the couch.
Well, yeah. I mean, the message there is, there's a lot of big Christian personalities, pastors, preachers out there who are saying, maybe write in a candidate or vote for the third party or whatever, because they want to emphasize personality over policy. Yeah. While they're doing that, policies are literally killing people. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, we've seen since 1973 over 60 million babies, and that's probably a conservative number, murdered, put in the hands of Molech in this country. And maybe not in the fire, but through forceps and plunger and vacuum. It's disgusting. Yeah. Right? Abortion. I mean, it's a terrible thing, and that's one issue. There's a lot of issues that are drawing us left of center and away from the America we once knew. But to emphasize, someone's personality, over their policy, I think that's
politics
ignorant.
Affect the way people live and die. Yeah, policy affects the way people live and die. And just because, let's say, Donald Trump is not, the most Christian-like character out there, but we know that he has stood on protecting life.
There's a record now. There's a record of 4 years where he is the most pro-life president of all time. Yeah, yeah. So go. As a Christian, you should be voting for Trump. I'll say it. As a Christian, you should be voting for Trump. As a business person, you should be voting for Trump. And as a transgender, you should be voting for Kamala. And there's not a lot of those. So it is what it is. It's like my pastor in California, Rob McCoy, said. Okay. Unless Jesus Christ is running for office, you'll be voting for the lesser of two evils. Yeah. I mean, unless Jesus is running, you're going to be voting for the lesser of two evils. So if you want to say, well, Kamala's evil and Donald Trump is evil or eviler because of mean tweets or whatever, well, guess what? Unless Jesus is running, everybody's evil. Yeah. You're evil, I'm evil. It's just what it is. We all sin and come short of the glory of God. So let's not be moral pietists, as he'd say, and we need to choose who has the record on life. Okay. Right? All right,
Charlie. Thank you so much. I hope we can do this one more time, at least in this life. I'm talking about this year before the elections. Yeah. And Elisha, thank you so much. Tam, wife of Charlie, thank you for being this great backstage support here. And God bless everyone, their families, their loved ones. And let's make America
great again.
Come on, let's go. Love you, man.
Love you, dude. Thanks. Yeah.